The Growth of an Industry by Vincent, Ashira, and Amanda. Throughout the later 1800s of America, the industrial market opened up with many opportunities to expand and refine America. Factory production was now widely used among states all across America. With the help of factories that had recently opened up, an age of industrialization began. The first major factor for industrialization was the plentiful resources spread around these new states and unexplored areas. America flourished with vast and immense forests, unmined minerals, and large supplies of water. Steel creation became a huge part in the industrialization of America to refine new machinery and buildings. With a cheaper metal to produce larger creations that required a lot of metal could now become a reality. Throughout the 1800s, steel creation increased by 500 times its original export due to a new way of making steel. The second major factor was the growing population. From 1860 to the 1900s, the population grew from 3.15 million to 76 million. This meant more working people to produce more materials to be utilized in factory processes or trading. This also caused a high immigration, which is another reason for the growth of our industries. From 1860 to 1900, around 14 million immigrants settled in the U.S. These immigrants worked very hard for very laborious jobs because they needed the money, which fueled America to work hard. The third major factor was the improved transportation. Goods could now be easily traded and transferred across the country in a matter of a few days. After the Civil War, there was a movement to make the Transcontinental Railroad. This made transfer easier and encouraged more people to join the industry. The fifth major factor was the new inventions that sprouted out across America. These could often improve transportation, communication, or comfort for citizens or workers. First, before the 1850s, steel was hard to create since it required a large amount of coal. So, Henry Bessemer developed a new process requiring 1/7 the amount of previous coal. With this steel, they could make products cheaper by using steel instead of iron. These uses include making beams for skyscrapers, making plows, nails, and barbed wire. The main use in the later 1800s was to create railroads to unite America. People often created new things but did not want their ideas to be stolen. The U.S. patent was created to protect their idea to make sure. Oil was also very necessary in this new economy. A scientist reported in 1855 that petroleum could be made from kerosene, the previously used oil, to be cheaper and more efficient. However, they could not find where to get this. Edwin Drake found an area in Pennsylvania oozing petroleum and began drilling it out to produce for the growing industry. Oil became an essential product, and with a large abundance he could provide. The sixth major factor was the investment capital in America. Banks or wealthy people would give loans to people with upcoming inventions so that they could get their business off the ground. With the encouragement and funding of higher people, more inventors wanted to start their new lives. The seventh major factor was the government assistance. The government put taxes on imported goods to encourage inter-country trade as they profited from having a good economy and happy citizens. The American business industry did not follow a set path or have a consistent rate of growth. It would often experience ups and downs, and would later adopt the name of business cycles. These up times would be called booms, like a boom in business. The low times were called busts, as invest decreased. Long periods of busts were called economic depressions, which occurred many times during the late 1800s as business was new. A huge depression would be called a panic, like the Great Panic in 1873, which lasted for 5 years. The industry grew a large amount despite these lows and started to stable out in the beginning of the 1900s, showing the effectiveness of the business cycle. With business booming and inventions rising, the industry of America headed into the future with its head up high.